Welcome back. So today's video, I'd like to talk a little bit about working and traveling. So one of the common things over the years with a lot of clients that I've had is that, they had to travel a bit for work. And so that might mean traveling overseas, but more often it meant traveling locally, either flying, driving, whatever it may be. Now, I travel currently in my role quite extensively for work, often to the same spots, but there's a lot of time spent away. And in the last 12 months, with the role that I have now, I've actually spent about 4 or 5 months of that away from home and traveling. And so when we travel for work, it can be a really easy way to get off track with our fitness plan. So we might have some good habits we've set up at home. We might have some good situations we've got at home, and then we head off on our trip and we start eating badly. We don't get our workouts in. And a lot of this is, travel definitely makes being fit harder. Having to travel for work means that you're going to have to think more than if you were at home. But one of the things that I like to try and avoid, and it's the thing that I think a lot of people fall into the trap of, is that they kind of get into the mentality of it being a bit like party mode. They're away from home, they're not in their normal routine. Why not head out and eat too much, drink too much, not sleep, not do your exercise? You're only away for a few days, who cares? And if you are someone who only travels occasionally, maybe you only do 2 work trips a year, you just have one trip somewhere and it's only a couple nights, and the rest of the year you're at home, then fine, you can kind of spend that time doing whatever you want, because it is a bit of a party. It's a bit of a break from your normal routine. But for those people who travel regularly, those people who travel, weeks and weeks out of a year, then that is your normal. That is your normal life, because if you're spending 10 weeks a year out of 52 away, well, that's, 20% of your life is spent traveling. 20% of your life is spent away from home. And by not exercising when you're away, by not controlling your food and so on, it's very easy to undo a lot of the good stuff that you've been doing while you are at home. And so it's good to keep that in mind. And like I said, it really depends on how much you travel. If you're not a big traveler, if you're just someone who does it occasionally, it might not be an issue for you. But if you're a regular, if you're a frequent flyer, you're out and about regularly traveling, then you really got to consider that traveling is a normal thing for you, and you need to have a plan and approach for what happens when you do travel. And it's, one of the hard parts about traveling is, there's long hours either on the road or in aircraft, and, you're out of line with, not getting enough sleep. You're spending a lot of time traveling. It's very easy to fall into the trap of eating junk food when you're out, not getting up because there's no perfect gym. Maybe you have a home gym at home, or you go to a certain gym like my gym, and then when you're away, you don't have access to that. But what we want to do is, when you're away, try and simply adjust and adapt to the new situation and get those basics still in place. So when we're away traveling, it's, still trying to eat as well as you can. Planning ahead, if you know you've got a big road trip or a flight, can you take some food for that leg of the trip to ensure that you have a healthy meal, or at least some healthy snacks, as opposed to having to rely on all the junk options. When you're out driving, like when I'm doing big drives somewhere, there's no options along the way, really. I mean, there's very few good healthy options along the way. And so if I don't bring something, well, the chance that I get really hungry and tempted to eat something like that is very high. So you want to be planning ahead. You want to be looking at, how long am I going to be away? Can I take some food? If it's a regular place you go, if it's a place that you regularly travel to, is there a gym you can get casual memberships at? Is there a gym that you can just do drop-in sessions? Every town these days, even in country areas, even in quite rural areas, you've got quite a few options available, and 5-10 minutes of research online, and you can find some awesome solutions to these situations once you realize that it is a normal part of your life to travel, and that you need to still be getting in those basics. You still need to be eating well. You still want to be getting some movement in. And it doesn't have to be the gym, but even just packing some shorts and t-shirt and some running shoes if you go for a run, whatever it may be. It's about looking at what, how long you're going to be away, 5 days. Well, if you're away for that long, you can quite likely fit in at least a few small workouts, whether that's in the hotel gym, whether that's going for a run, whether that's just going for a walk in the area that you're in. There's always an opportunity to do it. But we need to have that mentality of, if I'm traveling, that doesn't mean I can just do whatever I want now. And especially the more you travel, the less you can just be in party mode, and the more you've got to start taking it seriously. Because I've seen so many people who might do well the rest of the time they're at home, and then they just blow it every time they go away on a work trip, without planning ahead, without having at least a basic attempt at getting on top of the basics. And the basics are trying to keep eating well as you can, avoiding going out and getting massive amounts of food and alcohol, still trying to get some movement in, still trying to get your sleep in, and just focusing on it as much as you can. So travel can be very difficult on the body, on the mind, but it is not a reason to completely destroy all of the progress that you've made. You can maintain good health whilst traveling, but you just have to be more mindful of it. You have to really think ahead. You have to think about what you're doing. Think about what opportunities you have to continue your good routines while you are out and about. And then over time, and it's even better if you are someone who goes to the same place a lot or similar places, because you can start to learn is there a healthier restaurant in the area, or is there a gym that is open at certain times and I know that I can get there for a certain session, or whatever it may be. Plan ahead and make sure that travel does not become the thing that unsticks all of the good work that you do the rest of the year. So I'd be interested to hear your experiences about travel. Are you someone who regularly travels for work? Where do you go? What do you do? And what things do you struggle the most with when you're out and about? Love to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next one.